Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Hangout event, revisiting what lights us up. What lights us up is how we light up the world. I'm Lisa Ingalls. I'm your moderator for today's Hangout, and I'm the founder of Interstate Coaching, where I help people who are waking up and changing the world. I'm a consultant, I'm a mentor, and I'm an awakener. And in just a moment, I will be bringing on our beautiful, wonderful, brilliant hostess, Robin Holland. But first, let me just tell you a little bit about her. And actually, first, before I do that, just giving a shout out to everybody who's here with us live. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, you guys all know what to do. You just put them into the comment box, right? But we want to interact. We want to engage with you. We think that this is a perfect topic for this time of year. So let me tell you a little bit about Robin. Robin helps business owners to shine their message more powerfully and authentically in the world. She is a business consultant. She's an activator, and she's an optimizer. And I had the privilege of meeting Robin probably a little bit over, over a year ago at this point. And we reconnected really, we connected on Google+, but we really connected this past summer 2014, and it's just been like this forging friendship, and we're colleagues, we're friends, we live really close to each other, we've been able to hang out in real life together, and she's just this amazing, bright, brilliant woman who has years of expertise in helping people to identify and step into their unique message so that they can connect at an authentic level with their ideal audience, and that's really what she does. To give you a little bit more of a background on Robin, she has worked in the creative industry since the mid-1980s. First, she was in San Francisco with some ad agencies, and I think this is pretty cool. She worked for Fisher MountainBikes. I used to be a huge cyclist and triathlete, so when I learned that about her, I was like, wow, all right, pretty cool, Robin. She also has worked with Lucasfilm Games, and then in a company called Totally Games with her husband. They actually had that business together. So whether she's working with corporate clients or account managers or creatives in big businesses, she has always been a real astute observer and student of those around her and the way that they impact the world. So for Robin, communications and messaging has always been the core of her professional work, and now what she's doing is she's taking that expertise out into the world and helping her clients to get really deeply connected to their mission as well as to their message, which allows them to be in alignment with their power. And one of the things that Robin loves to do is to work with entrepreneurs who are feeling a little bit restless and uninspired and who are really wanting to put that spark back into their work. And what she does is she helps them to reconnect to their message in a more powerful way and share it authentically in the world. So without further ado, let me bring our beautiful Robin Holland into the room with us. Hey, Robin.
Hey, Lisa. Good to be here. I'm over here doing the white boxing, and I think I'm just going to let it go back and forth between us, because as much as I am here to present some information, it is my intention to have our conversation here be just that, much more of a flow between us as I share things. And I wanted to welcome everybody who's here. I see Marcus Dieterle is here from Germany, greetings, and Elaine Nieberding from Maryland, which is one of my favorite places. And again, I want to thank you, Lisa, for being here to help me to share my message with everyone today. So you're in the right place here if you would like to reconnect to what lights you up, or if you're curious about your ability to light the world, or if, like Lisa said, you're feeling restless, uninspired, or disconnected. I totally relate to all of those. I can think of so many times working even in our games business where after years of being very excited in our business, having really awesome products, X-Wing, Star Wars-based products that we were doing, and where there were these moments where we were thinking, what is this all there is? What do we do now to be connected again to the things that really matter to us and to have that be expressed in our work? So I come to you to tell you that we all come to the world with our unique set of talents, and we have an inner spark that we sometimes are more connected to and sometimes are less connected to. And actually, that's part of being human. If we didn't have the times where we weren't, then we wouldn't spark up to something else. It's sort of an orbit shift time. And so also, one thing that happens to us as we are growing up, the things that we love as children and that we really feel a spark about, when we hit maybe 6, 7, sometimes things may change around us, and we start to get into a groove where we're working along the lines of the expectations of parents, teachers, people who think that our life should take a certain shape, and sometimes that actually can snuff out our little spark. So that kind of programming can be have an effect on us as adults and what we're able to get in touch with inside of ourselves. What really matters the most is our deep inner connection and how well we are able to connect inside with ourselves. And that is an ongoing process. It's sort of a moving target, actually. We get to know something of ourselves, and then a new challenge is put in front of us that may seem terrifying and daunting, and we have to rise above all of what we already know and step into that to experience our spark again. So have you had that experience, Lisa, yourself?
Yeah, I've gone through a couple of transitions in my career where that spark is sort of dwindled down. I would say, like it fizzles. The spark fizzled, and and that happened. It's interesting because as I look back, that was an evolution of my own. It was indicative of my own growth and evolution into a bigger spark in the terminology that you're putting it in. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. And do we have any if you relate to that yourself, feel free to put something in the comments about that. Welcome that and love the interaction. So also, when we're really in touch with our inner spark, we feel really good. So to me, it's worth making an effort sort of on a regular basis to be connected to that inner spark, and sometimes that means pushing ourselves, and not pushing, that's too hard of a word, letting ourselves be pulled forward by challenges that are scary.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, it's like tripping a switch inside that allows us to emanate our great world-changing vibes, or to let what the trapped champagne bubbles in us are come out.
Mm-hmm.
And our unique light, by virtue of that is what it is. It actually affects those around us. And if we're not operating from our light, we're still affecting those around us. We're just affecting them from our shadow instead. So it's good to be
from a darker place. We're affecting them from a darker place than a lighter place.
Yeah, exactly. So no matter what, obviously, we're affecting those around us. And I like to start with, having a nice effect on myself. So some of the things I'm going to share today are about how to do that. I'm going to give you 3 ways to connect and powerfully use what lights you up for the betterment of your life and of those around you. And at the end, I'll show you a way to take that further. Today I have 3 practices for how to connect with what lights you up. And, I made these up or kind of borrowed from some others. And the first one I want to share with you is called, I call this little thing Wedding Patty. And this is something that got named Wedding Patty because I took a practice and applied it with this client, and it was so powerful. It just makes me happy to think about it. So this client is a lawyer, trained as a lawyer, and she's an amateur actor, and she's really good as an actor. She could truly be a professional, but she chose the path of being a lawyer, and she's really sensitive. That's why she's such a good actor. And when she has to go out and market herself in her business, that's kind of like pulling teeth for her. And so even though she has this inner spark of being able to share herself super authentically on stage, she's a little reliant on the script. And so going out and just sharing of herself vulnerably, it's really challenging for her. That the shy side of her is challenged. And so I asked her, when do you feel the most like yourself, Patty? What is it that when you do it, you are unstoppable? You are fully sharing who you are. And it didn't take her but a second to say, well, there is this one place. And she said, whenever I go to a wedding, I'm on the dance floor the first minute, and you can't get me off the dance floor. And it doesn't matter if anybody else is on there. It doesn't matter if the bride and groom are on there. I am dancing because that's where I feel so much like myself. And so she said, I could actually be a professional wedding attender because it helps getting people out on on the dance floor. Sometimes people are reluctant to, right, at the beginning at a wedding.
Did you help her to make money being a professional wedding attender?
Yeah, like, here, just hire me. I'll come and I'll stir your crowd up, And so what's really cool about that is she can get into that state whenever she wants now. We just call it Wedding Patty. It's like, whoa, she's feeling disempowered. She's feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to meet that person, which does happen, right? It's sometimes part of just crossing over that edge into that unknown where we know that we need to go to grow. Well, she can just get into that state, and it helps her a lot. So the inner sparkle of Patty is living inside the state of being Wedding Patty. And just as an aside, the other day I watched the movie Hitch. I don't know have you seen the movie Hitch, Lisa?
I've never. I'm the worst person to ask about movies because I always forget if I've seen it.
I feel that way too. And Hitch is one of the movies that I find absolutely unforgettable because in the movie Hitch, Will Smith is the the dating coach, and this character, Alfred Brenneman, he's an accountant. He's a shy accountant. He's very good at what he does, and he's also, got a large body. And they're pairing him up with somebody he just loves, happens to be a client, and this person is a high visibility person, beautiful, and there's this little scene in there where he's being coached on his dancing, and Will Smith has him being like really austere and professional and like not showing his true self. And when she turns around, they're in the setting, when she turns around, he lets it all go in the way that Will Smith says, no, you're not allowed to do that. And ultimately, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to spoil this for you because I really recommend this movie, but it has, for touching your own inner spark, actually, watching the movie Hitch will help refresh for us a sense of how okay it is and how really important it is for us to be ourselves and to act from that inner resonance.
So in all of this that you're talking about and using this example of Wedding Patty, are you suggesting then, Robin, that what each one of us do is find that thing like Patty did? She knows, every time she's at a wedding, she can access that. So you're suggesting that we all find that one thing that really lights us up so that we can connect with it at any time that we need to access.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for helping clarify that. That's it's something that if you spend a little time just thinking about what really makes you feel good. It might not be so mental, like, oh well, when I think about this, but more about what makes me feel really good. Then you can capture that feeling, kind of put it into a screen save on yourself, a screen capture, and then you can go back to that as a feeling, and you can have that as at your fingertips to use at any time. So one part of your spark. All right? Okay, so then the next little practice I want to share with you is something that I was tipped off by Steven Pressfield in his book, Do the Work. Doesn't have much of a cover, huh? I mean, you have to go inside to see the name of it. But Steven Pressfield, this other book, I'm a big fan, okay, of Steven Pressfield, this book called The War of Art. Fabulous book. But in the Do the Work book, if you have a project that you want to do, you're starting a new business, or you're doing a project, or even you're creating your wedding or whatever, it has a little step-by-step process for how to do it, and it is alike to being a screenwriter and creating a screenplay. He basically says you can do any project with one piece of paper, fool's cap, he calls it, the yellow paper, by creating what are the 3 acts. And in fact, he talks about how you can look at anything as 3 acts, whether it's Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, or Facebook. Facebook in 3 acts is a digital commons, this is number 1, upon which anyone who wishes may establish free. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this. This is G+. It's okay. His or her own personal page. 2, each page owner determines who is permitted access to his or her page. And 3, thus creating a worldwide community of friends who can interact with other friends and communicate or share virtually anything they want. What I used the 3-act play for myself to feel into what this thread is of the spark in my life is I created my life as 3 acts. And as I did that, this is not something you can do during this hangout. You have to set aside a little bit of time for yourself and get out some paper and ask yourself, if I had to say my life is a 3-act play, what are the 3 parts of my life that when you put them together, you can see the flow and the storyline of my life. When I did this, the way it came out for me was Act 1 was discovering my passion, and that was in my childhood. I was able to look at all the things in my childhood and see a thread of the things that interested me about ideas and about messages and about story, and then how the interaction with other people also worked, and the way that I would see and feel what's really going on with other people and what's truly important in their expression. And then the second act for me was exploring or developing my passion as a young person in my 20s and my 30s. And now it's sharing my passion. And so those are some big kind of high-level categories in Acts 1, 2, and 3. But it's actually a good way to go back and look into the pieces of your life and your storyline and see maybe yours aren't Act 1, 2, and 3. Like if the names of them are different, and what the names are and what the lines of continuity in there are can help you to re-tap and re-spark what's inside that you love and that lights you up. Does that make sense, Lisa?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I can relate to that in my own life with, like, in my teens and my 20s, I was pretty much obsessed with physical potential, reaching my highs, partly because I had an unmet need for being recognized. So I just trained as hard as I can to be as good as I could of a runner and a triathlete. But that did translate into my work as a personal trainer and a coach. And then in my late 20s and into my early 30s, that passion for physical potential turned into a passion for human potential, and my work as a life coach. And then from my mid-30s and now into my 40s, that has shifted once again from physical potential to human potential to social and planetary potential, and my work with visionary leaders and change makers and people who are waking up and changing the world. So that same thing, it's always been about potential. For me, for you, it's always been about passion. It just evolved and it grew up as I grew up.
Yeah, awesome. That is the perfect pathway, and yeah, that's super awesome. Then the third little thing that I wanted to share is what I have been experiencing in some work that I've been doing with a colleague, that is called, what is your level 10 in your work? And it's really important for us to identify what things in our work or in our experience are level 10 things. We might in our work not actually be doing anything that's a level 10. That means that the things that we like the most, that spark us the most, that activate us the most, that we're not doing them in our work. So if we're feeling a little bit or a lot uninspired, that would be a really big reason. So I like to work with people to help them identify what their level 10 is in their work and their life. And if they're not doing any level 10 in their work, then it's time for a rearrange. It's time to say, okay, we're going to do a big sort. This stuff is, and it may be actually not that easy to see at first. It's like you're so used to doing something and it's rote. But when you get the visibility to see, oh, you know what? I just do that because it's easy for me, but it's not meaningful to me. I don't really like it. If we can make room for something that maybe you're not good at yet, but you just like it. You know, maybe your soul is calling you forward to learn it, to become good at it and take the next step. But it won't happen if things are clogged up so that the level 10 is not getting the attention that it deserves. So that's just a simple sort process. And sometimes, as I said, it's not that simple to see, to feel, to separate out what things you're doing that might be sapping some of your inner sparkle and your ability to light the world. So how about that one? Does that one make sense, Lisa?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I think that some of that piece of the sapping comes from us wanting an unconscious place within us that feels like we need to stay in the status quo because it's safer, right? Yeah. But it's definitely not sparklier.
No.
It's not a fun place to be in for long periods of time, even though it might feel safe. So I definitely hear what you're saying is identify what are those level 10s, when do they happen, where do they happen, and strive for experiencing and being in those moments more often.
Yes, awesome. Then I have a little bonus thing. This is bonus, but this is so core. It's this idea about being in self-appreciation that, to me, undergirds everything else. It might seem too easy or simple and easy to just sort of, self-appreciation, oh yeah, self-love. But the act of deliberate self-appreciation, I have found, is a giant needle mover in us being able to be activated and coming from our own inner spark. And here's how you can know if you haven't been doing enough self-appreciating. If it's hard for you to say where someone is listening, I appreciate myself, then there's some room to grow. If you can look in the mirror and say, I appreciate you, and it doesn't move you, then there's some room to grow, because we are housing this divinity inside of us. This inner spark is actually divinity, and there is a role to play for ourselves of appreciating ourselves, and there's a practice that is needed to kind of move the sludge out of the way of our programming, which says, are you kidding? You know, you're not supposed to be self-aggrandizing or self-centered, which is also kind of a strange concept, huh? It's wrong to be self-centered, but wait, aren't we, isn't it good to be centered? Or my favorite, you know, I love your neighbor as yourself, which most of us interpret as love your neighbor instead of yourself, you know, like in this kind of altruistic way. And I think taking on a practice, maybe in the morning and the evening, of you know, just being appreciative of being here and of the inner spark that you have, that is, in fact, a way to activate a whole different course of events in your life. Versus if you've been a practicer like I have in my past, more and more in the past, of being a self-deprecator, you activate a whole set of different potential in yourself when you're a self-appreciator. So
that's so key, and I think that this last piece just sets up actually for the rest of it, because it's really hard to expose your spark or to let your spark shine if you're not self-loving and self-compassionate and self-appreciative, because otherwise you are going to dampen your own spark. So this piece is like the clincher, the kicker to all of it.
Yeah, it is the core, and it's the core of us enjoying our lives. It's just so, it's too easy. Ego says, too easy. But I dare you to try it. Anyone who's out there listening and saying, too simple, try it. It's not as easy as it seems. Even though it's easy.
It's a practice, like you said. I have some, would it be okay if I just said some comments here?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So Marcus says that there's several things that spark his interest, but as far as real sparks go for him, what drives him forward right now is projects that improve people's lives somewhere. And he gives an example of a guy in Africa who's building a wind turbine from spare parts for his town in order to give them access to electrical power.
Wow.
That's really cool. Marcus says that. And then Sherry says that her wedding Patty is thinking about the smile on her granddaughter Hattie's 7-month-old face. I love that kid. Like, there's something so innocent about children, and they just are already in that pure joy. And then Kathy says, I feel like I've just completed Act 2, in which I was learning all the skills I needed to do my mission, to do what I need to do. I don't feel like doing anything right now, so I guess I'm in the intermission.
Intermission, that's great. Hi, Kathy. I'm so glad you're here. And oh my gosh, I see so much amazing stuff in you. Kathy's an awesome artist. The problem with Kathy is, I'm sorry to say it like that, she's just so darn talented. She's got so many gifts and talents.
Aw, such a problem to have.
Such a problem. Yeah. Thanks for sharing those. Are there any others?
That's for right now. That's what's,
okay, cool.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, well, it's great to have those. So it sounds like those 3 things touched some sparked some things for people out there. So I hope so. I hope that they helped you feel good and feel into who you are. And I want to make, I told you that at the end, I would make an opportunity to further strengthen this for anyone who's interested in if you would like to dial in more any of these ways to spark yourself, and even particularly if you're looking to be able to identify what is that level 10 in your business. So organize yourself around your highest offering and your core spark. I would love to offer you a consultation to talk about that, a complimentary consultation or strategy session. And I also can work with you to craft the mission and message that in such a way that they will permeate what you do in the world to have that be fully expressed. So if that's something that's interesting to you, then all you have to do is send me an email at robincreates@gmail.com, which I will put up. Okay, where did that go? Okay, I will put a different thing up here. And does that show? Yeah. So that's what I wanted to offer to people, and clarity that comes from that is amazing. So we are on time. It's 11:32, and this was for 30 minutes, so we're doing great. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and Lisa for moderating. And I would like to invite anyone who wants to hop in afterward to the green room. Lisa has the link, and maybe she's posted it. I don't have my comment tracker. It didn't serve me correctly today. So so maybe it's there. I didn't scroll down. I see. There's a comment from Marcus. So thank you for that comment, Marcus. Hop into the green room if you can. And do we have that link?
I just put the link in there, so the link will show up momentarily. I also put Robin's email in the comments as well, so you have that. So yes, the green room link is there, and Robin's email is there. Come join us in the green room.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn off the broadcast, and I'll see you on the other side.